Hello Sagittarius, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We're looking at all three sides of the connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As I do in all of my readings, I have pulled the overall energy and clarified those messages, as well as the overall theme for the reading, which we'll jump into in just a second. But I still have a different tarot deck I'll be pulling from for each side of this connection, as well as the advice deck I'll be using to close out the reading in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed. So if that's the case for you, that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. All right, Sagittarius, let's jump on in. On your side of this connection, you have triggered with the Three of Swords. So I think based on this energy, it's pretty safe to say that you got your heart broken here. And I feel like regardless of how long it's been, you're still very much hurting from this experience. And I feel like that the experience of it kind of keeps getting triggered over and over again. This person has a fun little combination of ego with the Page of Pentacles in reverse. This is kind of this energy of immaturity and ego, which can be pretty destructive. I feel as if this person and the way that they hurt you in this connection was due to coming from a place of ego. You know, we all have an ego, and our ego, its primary goal is to keep us safe, to keep us in situations in which we know we can survive. And sometimes when other people haven't done their own healing or don't have a certain level of self-awareness, that ego will completely take control of their decisions. And that can be very destructive, both for them, but for other people as well. Now, in between this connection, you have growth with the World here. So I do feel like you're stuck in a pretty painful cycle when it comes to this connection. Now, whether that's stuck in a cycle with this person currently, or stuck, like I said, like just kind of reliving the experience of the Three of Swords here. And I feel like this connection is really pushing you to grow in a lot of ways. Maybe it has, maybe it continues to. And the overall theme for the reading you have is free yourself. It says it's time to take back control of your life. So I feel like this is about freeing yourself from a pretty painful cycle that you've been stuck in here. So let's dive in deeper. This is already pretty kind of heavy energy, so we'll just see where this takes us. All right, Sagittarius' side of this connection triggered with the Three of Swords. This is Sagittarius' energy toward the person they are dealing with. So Sagittarius' side of the connection to the person that you're dealing with. The Four of Pentacles in reverse. Whoo! What seemed like wish fulfillment turned into Four of Pentacles in reverse. Things falling apart. Rug getting ripped out from underneath you. And then there is that World card. There's that cycle. So I feel like, you know, this connection started out probably pretty good, or at the very least, pretty neutral. And I feel like with this Nine of Pentacles, for a while, this connection really felt like wish fulfillment, and maybe still does in some ways. And I feel like then the side. Four of Pentacles in reverse. Blindsided here. And this blindside, or it doesn't necessarily need to be blindsided, it could be, but rug ripped out from underneath you. What you thought was one thing turned out to be another. And I feel like that's left you in this cycle of maybe not being able to heal or move forward, or not being able to break free from the pain that this connection has caused you. And I think that what it comes down to is kind of trying to understand what the cycle itself is and what is needing to be learned in order to break out of that cycle, which I feel like we'll probably get more on throughout this reading. So Sagittarius' side of this connection. This has been kind of a similar theme in readings this week. I think a few signs have been going through this like blindsided energy. Don't know if it's just because, I mean, this is for August, so there's Mercury retrograde, but this could be something that you've already been going through too. But anyway, okay, let's go. Sagittarius' side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Oh. Knight of Pentacles, Seven of Wands in reverse, Six of Swords in reverse, Four of Swords in reverse. Oh, Sagittarius. Okay. There's the Tower. So, although I feel like this is kind of blindsided, rug ripped out from underneath you kind of energy, at the same time, I feel like this is also kind of like a long time coming. Now, what I mean by that is, and I don't want this to sound like I'm blaming you or saying that you did anything wrong, but I feel like the red flags were there. I do. But I feel like you maybe felt things would get better. And maybe that's why you continued to kind of invest or move forward with the connection until, I don't know what it is. I don't know what this Tower is, but something went down. Something went down. Something triggered you. Something broke your heart. Something happened. But I feel like before that, with the Four of Swords in reverse, like this connection was slowly kind of draining you. Slowly but surely, it's almost as if you maybe were losing yourself a little bit in this connection, which we've all been there. We've all done it. I think that we tend to lose ourselves in connections when we focus primarily on making the other person happy or being what we think the other person needs, and kind of abandoning our own needs in the process. The Seven of Wands in reverse is kind of that energy of maybe lacking boundaries or doubting yourself a little bit. Like, when we doubt our own worth or we doubt our own capabilities of loving or being loved, a lot of times we'll sell ourselves short in connections and we'll accept a lot less than what we deserve because we think that we have to. So I feel like this is something where it's like, I don't know, slowly but surely, it's like there was this lead up to the Tower, this lead up to the Four of Pentacles in reverse. And I don't know exactly what this cycle is, but I do definitely feel like it has something to do with that Knight of Pentacles. Sagittarius' side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Here, okay. I feel like this person presented themselves as someone, like this ego, like immature-ish kind of energy, but I feel like you saw through that. And I feel like you saw maybe who they really were. And it's almost like you tried to chip away at maybe like a facade they put on or a mask that they wore or something to try to get closer to who they really were, because I feel like it's like you saw who they really were. And maybe, there's this part of like holding on or thinking that like maybe if I stay or if I love this person hard enough, like eventually that mask will go away, they'll let me in, things will be good. But I feel like that's not what happened. All right, let's get more of those. So Sagittarius' side of this connection. World, okay. There it is. The World and the Three of Swords. The World and the Three of Swords here. It's like the cycle of heartbreak. It's almost as if maybe it's like this person broke your heart, like he broke your heart time and time again. Or, like I said, it's like you're stuck in the cycle of experiencing that pain. You could be dealing with an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, but you absolutely don't have to be. But yeah, it's like no matter what, it seems like you can't escape the hurt here. It's like until the cycle's fully closed. Until the cycle's fully closed. Yeah, free yourself until you free yourself from the cycle. But the question is, how do I do that, right? Because I don't think you are enjoying the way that this feels, Sagittarius. I think anyone in this position would like to be out of this energy. But let's see. Let's just see what they're dealing with. Let's try to just get... I'm going to kind of try to put the pieces of this puzzle together, one card at a time. So let's see what this person's dealing with. This person's energy towards Sagittarius, ego, with the Page of Pentacles in reverse. Like I said, this can be a pretty destructive energy. This immaturity, this obviously egotistical energy. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. Oh, okay. Page of Cups in reverse. I was holding it upright. And it flipped over into the... Oh, yeah, because, okay, there's the Page of Pentacles in reverse. This is what we're dealing with. The Two of Wands in reverse and the Queen of Pentacles. So Earth sign energy. Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. I kind of feel like I need to clarify this Page of Cups in reverse. You know, it's an indication of like emotional unavailability, inability to give and receive love like in a healthy manner, which maybe is what, well, okay, hang on. Clarifying this Page of Cups in reverse. I'm laughing at myself because I'm trying to jump to all these conclusions when I could just pull cards. Want the card to turn all the way around or hit the table. Clarifying the Page of Cups in reverse. The Judgment in reverse. Oh, wait. Yeah. The Ace of Pentacles. Okay. Right? For those of you who don't know, it's not always how a card comes out. It's how it intuitively feels. And a lot of times, like, you'll see it, like, kind of just naturally turn over in my hand. Okay. Ace of Pentacles and Judgment in reverse here. So... this person's ego is a defense mechanism. It's almost like the way that they act in this connection was their way of protecting themselves in some way. Now, I'm certainly not justifying behavior, nor am I saying that it's okay or that it's, you know, justified. But I do feel like there's more to why they did whatever they did. I don't know what they did, but I don't really think that that's for me to know. I think that's for you to know. I don't really need to know. There's reason behind it that doesn't really have anything to do with you. Because Judgment in reverse of the Ace of Pentacles is like the truth behind, needing to see the truth behind what really went down, like the truth behind the experience. It's not just black and white. It's not just they did this. There's so much more to it. There's so much depth to this. And I feel like there's a lot about why, like I said, they did what they did, almost to try to protect themselves. Because at the same time, with this Ace of Pentacles, it's like I feel like they wanted the opportunity that this connection provided, but then you have this Page of Pentacles in reverse, which kind of is this like energy of being immature is obviously the word that I kind of jumped to, but like not being ready for something, like not being at a certain place emotionally or mentally or physically, spiritually. So it's like, although I feel like in the beginning, I do feel like they desired what this connection provided. I don't think that they went into this like, I'm going to screw Sagittarius over. Like, I don't get that at all. But I feel like the way that they acted, like I said, was a result of them trying to protect themselves in some way, protect themselves from something. And it was their ego's doing. Our ego, like I said, its primary goal is survival. And it will do whatever is necessary to keep us alive. Now, that can happen in many different ways. But sometimes when someone is struggling with like their past or their pain or their hurt, you know, the way that they affect other people is going to come out in that. And I think that it's important for you to understand that, because I actually feel like forgiveness of what went down is like necessary in order for this cycle to close. And in order to forgive someone fully, you kind of got to understand it, right? You got to understand where they're coming from. And I'll talk about why I think forgiveness is part of it in a second. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. But I want to keep pulling. The 8 of Wands, and there's the 10 of Wands. Their baggage was in total control of their decisions. 10 of Wands, 8 of Wands, 2 of Swords. Like, I feel like, you know, we all carry baggage, right? We all have a past. We're all adults here. At least you should be if you're watching my readings. We all have a past. We've all been through heartbreak. We all have trauma, maybe differing levels. But at the end of the day, we've all got stuff. And in order to create and sustain happy, healthy relationships, the goal is to understand how to manage your own stuff without making it the other person's problem. And when we don't know how to manage our own stuff, we do try to make it the other person's problem. Instead of getting into a relationship and going, I have my stuff, but here's how I plan to deal with this stuff, you go, here's my stuff. You drop it in the middle of the connection, you say, deal with it. And when that happens, your traumas, your triggers, your lack of healing, all of that then becomes the other person's burden. And sometimes this certainly can happen on both sides. And I feel like that's what happened here. I feel like this person had baggage. I don't know what, but emotional baggage that they had not dealt with, like hadn't even kind of sort of started the process of dealing with it. And I feel like they came into this connection with that baggage, with this emotional unavailability, and there was this energy of, sure, I desire love and connection because everybody, we are human. The innate desire of a human being is connection, to be deeply loved for who we are. So there's that desire, there's that connection, or that desire. So they saw the opportunity. They were like, yeah, sure. Like, this is it. This is what I innately desire. But on the surface, nothing had been dealt with. Nothing had been faced. Nothing had been looked at. Like, nothing had been healed. And I feel like that then, they led with that. They led with their baggage, which is where I feel like their decisions that affected you were coming from this place of wounded, like from wounding and from trauma and from lack of healing. And that does not excuse behavior, okay? Number one thing, that does not excuse behavior. But what you can take from that is understanding that the way that they acted has nothing to do with your value. It has nothing to do with your worth. It has nothing to do with what it is that you are capable of experiencing in love. All it means is that the way that this person acted was a direct reflection of their lack of healing. Now, we kind of start to get into it when we go, so how was the way that this, because obviously this connection is pushing you to heal. It's pushing you to heal deeper wounds, I feel like, than you even fully realize. So looking at it and understanding that from this perspective of what is this connection teaching me? Because sure, this person obviously has a long way to go in their healing, in their growth journey. I don't think they're necessarily a bad person. Like I said, I don't think they necessarily came into this with like bad intentions. I think that they kind of just came into this from the selfish perspective of, I want this, but hadn't done any of the work to actually handle it in a healthy way. And I think that, there's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing you can do about how people treat you, but what you can do is look at what that situation is trying to teach you. I was in an emotionally abusive relationship 5 years ago, and I've talked about this on my channel before. And this person treated me horribly, pretty much from start to finish, and then ended up leaving me. And I was like, wow, amazing. I'm the one who gets treated poorly, the whole time, yet then I'm the one that gets left. And this connection completely devastated me. And for years, after this connection happened, like for 2.5 years, I could not heal. I could not let it go. I could not feel better. It was like I was reliving it every single day, everywhere I went. It felt like I could not get out of it. And there for a while, I kind of fell into the whole twin flame thing. I was like, oh, this person's my twin flame. That's why it hurts so much, blah, 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 blah. And sure, I do think that connection had a very spiritual purpose. It woke me up and put me on a spiritual path. What I'm getting at is that for a long time, I sat in my pain and in my anger and in my sadness from that connection. And that anger was definitely, it played a role. It was necessary. It pushed me to heal, pushed me to grow in a lot of ways. But I got stuck eventually. I couldn't move forward. And I realized it's because I wasn't looking at it as a reflection of me. I wasn't looking at what this person did as a reflection of myself, of, the way that I was treated in that connection was a direct reflection of the way that I felt I was deserving of being treated. And when I started bringing that to my surface, into my consciousness, I started realizing that the anger that I had toward that person was anger that I had toward myself. It was a reflection of anger toward my shame, toward my guilt, towards the ways that I didn't love myself or think that I was lovable. And when I started healing those parts of myself, which took some time, but when I started kind of addressing those things that were coming up through looking at that reflection, I started to forgive the other person. It was almost as if I started more and more as I forgave myself, more and more as I healed those parts of me that felt like I was deserving of the way that I was treated. Because on the surface, I was like, I wasn't deserving of that. But deep down, I felt that I was, or else I wouldn't have attracted it. Because our relationship is a reflection, or our life is a reflection of what we think we deserve. So I started kind of getting out of that ego mentality of, no, I know I deserve better. I started looking at like, okay, for real though, if every spiritual teacher out there is saying our life is a reflection of what it is that we think we deserve, then what's going on? And a lot started coming up, and it was very shocking actually. But the more that I dug at that stuff, the more that I was able to heal, and I was able to grow in ways that I never would have been able to grow. And on the other side of that growth were relationships that I literally never thought were possible for me to have. I mean, I met my fiance because of the person I became, because of that connection. And what I'm trying to get at with this is that's where I was trying to talk about forgiveness. I feel like this connection is reflecting back at you deeper ways that you feel that you are deserving and undeserving of love, or deserving of a not so great treatment, or feeling undeserving of love. And as you start to kind of address those parts of yourself, you're going to start to uncover what parts of you were looking for love in people that hurt you. And whenever we start to do that, we do heal, we do grow, we close out cycles, because we will no longer start to look for love in pain. That's what I did for a long time. I looked for love in people who hurt me, because the people who made me feel the most unlovable, I felt needed to love me in order for me to feel lovable. And the more that I did that, the more I attracted people, specifically one person, but then after that, like a few different connections that made me feel that unlovableness. And then that's finally when I was like, okay, something's going on here. I got to take a look. And that's ultimately where it led me. So I hope that makes sense. I think that it's always so easy to get caught up on how other people treat us. And again, I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying that you deserved any of this. What I am saying is that you have more power and control here than you think of closing out this cycle. And that deep healing that I feel this is trying to guide you toward will take you there. But okay, let's get one more. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. I know that was kind of long, but I really felt like I needed to talk about it. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. Well, there it is. They didn't feel good enough for you deep down. Deep down, but their ego didn't want to see that. Because we spend our life running from the ways that we don't like ourselves. Because it's not fun not to like yourself, right? We want to love ourselves. We want to feel good about who we are. We want to, feel good about ourselves. But, we have to feel good about who we truly are, not good about who our ego that has constructed us to be. And I feel like that's what it comes down to, is this person on the surface, probably was very egotistical or very I hate using the word narcissist because sometimes I think that word is thrown around a little too freely, but maybe some of those narcissistic qualities, which narcissism isn't actually an inflated sense of self. It's an absence of a sense of self. It's not knowing oneself. It's not loving oneself, therefore having no sense of empathy because you don't really have a sense of self. At least that's what I've learned through my experience. So this person deep down didn't feel good enough for you. So the way that they acted, I feel like you brought up these parts of themselves that made me feel they felt ashamed of, and they didn't want to face any of that. So their ego came in and said, I can fix this. We'll just avoid that feeling altogether, and we'll do whatever we need to do to make sure that we don't have to feel any of that. And I feel like that's where a lot of their behavior in this connection came from. It came from that place. It came from that ego place. But remember, you have an ego too, Sagittarius. And if you have a voice in your head saying you don't have an ego, that's your ego. We all have an ego. Your ego is not something that needs to necessarily go away, but it's something that needs to learn not to control your decisions. And ego can, just as much as an inflated, as kind of those narcissistic qualities can be ego, so can self-loathing, not liking yourself. That's also your ego. So understand that I think that this connection is a deeper reflection of things within you that need to be addressed and healed than you might think. I know I talk about that a lot on my channel. You're probably tired of me hearing it, but that's always going to be the nature of these readings, is kind of focusing on how you can heal, how you can grow, because at the end of the day, that is all you have control over, right? You don't have control over anything else other than you. And when you start to address those things and you start to see the parts of you that you don't really want to face and love the parts of you that you don't really like, you start to attract people who love you for you instead of attracting people who treat you the way that you deep down feel you're deserving of being treated because of the way that you view yourself. And it's important to note that the way you view yourself is not your fault. You tend to take on the reflection or the opinions of the way that other people have treated you. So when you've lacked love, starting in childhood, you have been taught, I am not deserving of love, starting from the first people who are meant to love you well. And then that can kind of play out throughout your life too. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I do feel like these deeper things that are coming through in this reading are really talking about how there's so much more to this than you think. And the growth associated with this cycle is actually going to take you so much further than you think. There's a deep purpose here. I feel like at the end, I do feel like it'll be worth it. It certainly was for me. I look back at that connection and I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for the experience of it. I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have the people I have in my life today if it weren't for it. So I know I hold on. Every heartbreak can either, turn you cold or keep you open in ways that you wouldn't be open before. So, all right, Sagittarius, we're going to hop on over to the extended. You have growth with the world here. I'm going to pull messages looking at the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. And then I have an advice card to pull at the very end. Thank you so much, as always, for your support of my channel, Sagittarius. I obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Sagittarius.